Failure fuels success. So many times people look at failure as being like if the business failed. What about all the personal failures that happen between someone's ears? They're trying for something. Like they may have built a beautiful business, but was that what they were intending for? Maybe they're trying to go down a completely different route. You hear about all these different people that started, they went to school for one thing and built a huge business in something completely different, right? Was that a failure? They dedicated all that time to one craft and then switched gears. Like it all matters on how you look at things. And so I like to look at things as saying my most difficult times are the times when God introduces me to myself. When it calls on a virtue or a strength that I didn't even know I had and draws it out of me, it's like that's when I get to meet the real John. And I like that guy. That real John, I like him. I don't like the actor. I like that guy. And so the different failures that I've had in my life, whether they're related to business or just the battles going on in between my ears, have helped shape me to build a confidence of saying, "Hey, I'm me, and this is who I want to be, and I don't want to change the way that I am so that you'll like me." That's not leadership, right? That's manipulation. I don't want to change so that you like me. I want you to like me as I am, and I want to like you as you are. Now, if I've got some bad behavior I got to work on, I'm not saying you got to take the good with the bad. I'm not saying that. I want to work on the things that I should be working on, but I'm not going to change who I am, and nor do I want you to change who you are.
It's true because like as you sit here and like it kind of it's failure fuels success, but it's also like as you're talking about like that personal side of it, it really makes you think like if you are truly being yourself and you're failing at something important, that reconcile
Yeah,
is important. So how do you reconcile with the inner battle of failure? Oh, I failed. It can even micro, because I think there's like macro and micro failures,
sure.
right? So like overcoming the inner, chatter of what are micro failures and like, how are they
Sure.
affecting you on the big.
There's so many marriages that have a lot of stress in them. And so when people are looking at the relationship, they might say, look, they're always fighting or this or that, whatever the case is. And let's just say that's true. What if we look at it and said, despite all that fighting, somehow, some way they figured out how to stay together? Now that's a beautiful story. And that's something to build on. Like, despite all of this and being to the brink in the 11th hour, we still found a way to work through it. I think that you build on the good. There was a time where I went to this religious concert convention, and they had this conference rather, and they had the speaker up there and his author up there, all these people, and everybody's celebrating him. Afterwards, there's this little dinner. I'm sitting at the dinner, and they're talking about someone coming to church and how offended one of them was that a person only came to church because they liked the music. Now, you don't hear that very often. And I said to him, you have to be here for the consecration and for this and he's going on and on. And I'm like, well, why would you say that? And it was all a bunch of religious people that were there. And I'm like, why would you say that? If the one string that was holding them together to come to church was music, why would you step on it? Like you build off of that. You don't step on that. Like what is wrong with you? And so that's the same thing with like a marriage or a partnership or anything, even a client vendor relationship. If there's something that's been holding you together throughout the time, like go back and examine it and celebrate it. And if both of you can celebrate that strength, you're not building trying to fix the weaknesses, you're building off of the strengths. Michael Jordan was a phenomenal basketball player. You didn't see him out there trying to play like Shaquille O'Neal, but you could say, hey, his post-up skills were down low up against the center were the worst part of his game. So many people say, go work on your weaknesses, go work on your weaknesses. I say, go work on your strengths. Build with your strengths. Then if you got to address your weaknesses in some way and kind of protect from your weaknesses, but you have to work with your strengths. Stop seeing it as the difficult parts of the relationship. Look at somehow, some way that's unbelievable. I've seen marriages stick together where it's like, how? Because there's like a superpower play.